The month and year are halfway over, and that means so is the Kinda Funny membership drive. If you love the nearly 20 live shows we do each week, we'd love for you to throw a Kinda Funny membership our way on patreon.com/kindafunny and youtube.com/kindafunnygames. Thank you, and we'll see all of you for the happy hour this Friday on YouTube, but only members can call to talk to us.
Today in the nerdy news you need to know about, Parris Lilly joins us to talk about his Avowed preview. Concord's been in development for 8 years, and Callisto Protocol's Redacted spin-off is getting closer. We'll have all this and more because this is Kinda Funny Games Daily. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Kinda Funny Games Daily for Thursday, August 22nd, 2024. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside JK Games Podcast Zone, Jerica Hanna. Hello, Jerica.
Hey, Greg. Thanks for having me back.
Anytime. Why are you talking like that? Why are you talking like a used car?
Am I still is this too fancy?
You know,
Okay.
I don't know what your problem is, Jerica. All right,
Okay.
You're either in the rehearsals. Kevin's nice enough to remind you about Wii News, and you half-ass it. You say, this is my third or fourth time doing this show. I don't need to bring the energy. Then we get out here, you start mean mugging me. All right? Jerica,
I apologize.
that's what I like to see. That's what I like to see.
There we
Thank
go.
you.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you. You understand.
hi.
Kiss the ring. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Got up a little early to prepare for this and had a banana and trying to catch up on like what gaming news has happened between 1 p.m. and right now.
It's always shocking the amount of gaming news that will happen overnight / between 1 p.m. and now.
Yeah, I was a little concerned because I'm like, well, I hope we have something to discuss today, but it seems like we do.
Don't worry. The days of having a slow news day are over. There's always something to gab about when it comes to games. But right now, Jerica, what you need to do is remind people who you are if they don't know.
I'm Jerica. I'm the host or one of the hosts with JK Games Podcast, where we occasionally talk about games and TV shows that we enjoy consuming. We hope to have more content soon, but normally we do like 2 episodes a month where we get together and talk about whatever game Kayla's played, farm game. She likes to play lots of farm games.
Is she doing that Mysteria one?
I don't know yet.
Everyone's in that Mysteria one around me right now.
But we play a little bit of everything. And obviously I like talking about anything to do with the Last of Us. We have a whole other show called Clickerbait. Kayla does too. So we had to have a dedicated show for that.
Look at that. Kayla in the chat saying, yes, I love it in all caps. Learn your co-host, Jerica, all right?
But yeah, we've been doing this for a little over 3 years, and you know, we met each other through another career space and became best friends, and it's like, hey, we're 2 ladies that like to talk about games, so let's try doing a show. And I guess she likes me enough to do this, you know, a little bit more committal to do it with me every other week. So
well, as you know, I'm a listener and I love the show. I've loved it since I first ran into you via the internet. But what's most exciting with you here right now is that you have told me you're getting ready to take the plunge. Is that correct?
yes, yeah, the plunge. Yes, that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to get my head on straight. Let me take a step back. Yes, okay. I want to do this a lot more. Right now, time is of the essence, and there's not enough of it, and there's too many games.
Sure.
There's too many games and not enough time. And I want to talk about them more. So I'm looking. Let me go back. You know, obviously, I was with y'all a little over a year ago. I think it was like last June.
Yeah.
Time flies when you're having fun and playing games, but. I was like, you know, that was really cool. I like doing this. I might be sort of good at it. So I am looking at ways to, well, at that time I was looking at ways to plan ahead. And I've reached a point in my life where I can take a step back from the thing that makes me the most money.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's a little daunting because I want to put more time into talking about games and doing this.
Yeah, being a content creator.
So in October, I'm looking at being more involved with this 75% of the time, at least.
I love that.
Yes.
I love that,
you.
chasing the dream. Obviously, you could keep working the job. Not necessarily you hate, but the job that isn't your passion. I love that you sat down, you looked through it and said, hey, here's what I want to do. How do I make that happen? And you're jumping off. And what, you're giving yourself a year is what you said?
Yeah, I guess it's like a working sabbatical, just to see what I can get into. The last couple of, gatherings, I was able to go to PAX East early this year in March. Met a lot of cool folks and really want to get some collabs going. I love doing, my idea is I'd love to get people that, make these games that we love and interview them. I love the show from last week with Blessing and what's the guy's name from Riot? It just left me, but
the 2KXO guys, right?
Yeah, and I'm not really into fighting games. I'm not. I played League of Legends years ago in college, but because of those characters I'm familiar with, I'm like, ooh, I can get into this fighting game, I think. But all that to say, hey, I love hearing about the people that make games.
Yeah. And
I'd love to do some content like that. And, the games that are coming out the rest of the year, be able to talk, play all of them quickly and talk about them. Because usually I finish a game that's 4 or 5 months later, sometimes these days. So that's the challenge.
It can be a struggle, but I'm glad you're committing to this, Jerica. That's super exciting.
I'm so excited. I'm also terrified, but I'm also excited just to.
But this is the time to do it, right? If you have the means, you have the plan, and you have okay, I want to try this. You don't want to look back a decade from now and be like, oh man, I wish I would have tried it then. Now I have too many responsibilities or too many other things to worry about. The fact that you can go do this now is super exciting. So congratulations to you.
Thanks. And thanks for having me back and being able to partake in this exciting conversation this morning.
There's a lot of it. Everybody, if you love Jerica, you like her here, you hear her for the first time and say, hey, I need to do that, follow the JK Games podcast on your podcast service of choice and keep track of Jerica as she continues to rock it throughout the video game industry. But for now, let me remind you that this is Kind of Funny Games Daily. Each and every weekday on a variety of platforms, we run you through the nerdy video game news live on YouTube, Twitch, and podcast services around the globe. If you love what we do, support us with the Kind of Funny membership. $10 gets you good karma for supporting a small business you enjoy. But more importantly, you get all of our shows ad-free, the ability to watch our afternoon podcasts in private as we record them, and of course, your daily multimedia experience known as Greg Way. Of course, if you want to be a part of this show as we go, Super Chat, youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. Use the Super Chat to get your questions, comments, and takes read. Some housekeeping for you. This Saturday, August 24th at 11 a.m., Nick and Mike are hosting the grand opening of the RazerStore San Jose. You can come check out the new store and hang with them live and in person at the Westfield Valley Fair Mall. Shop 2103 for your chance to win thousands of dollars in prizes, including a Razer Blade laptop. RSVP ahead of time at kindoffunny.com/Razer. That's RAZER. That is going to be a scene of Mike and Nick hosting a grand opening of the Razer store. I can't wait to see it. Before that, though, the boys are back in town Friday, August 23rd at 8 a.m. You can join Nick, Josh Maguca, and Mark Ellis live and in person for a night of comedy at the Lost Church, San Francisco. This is a one-night-only event, so grab your seat fast before they sell out. Head to kindoffunny.com/comedy for details and tickets. Of course, Kind of Funny is all about live talk shows. We're an 11-person business that specializes in them. So after Kind of Funny Games Daily today, you will get the Kind of Funny GAMESCAST, where we do our Concord review so far, followed by a stream of more Concord. If you're a Kind of Funny member, you can get today's Greg Way momentarily, of course. What did I talk about? It was a question from Tommy, and Tommy wanted me to talk about, hold on, I did it. Well, Monster Hunter. I talk about Monster Hunter and why Tommy should start with Monster Hunter World to get ready for Wilds, but while there's a couple other good Monster Hunters out there as well. You, of course, can get that. And if you're a Kind of Funny member, like I said, afternoon podcast in private. The Core in Review is recording this afternoon. If you're not a member, you can get it on YouTube and podcast services tomorrow. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Carl Jacobs and Delaney Twining. Today, we're brought to you by Hymns and Aura Frames, but we'll tell you about that later. For now, let's begin the show with what is and forever will be the Roper Report. Time for some news. 5 items on the Roper Report.
Baker's dozen.
We start with number 1, an Avowed preview roundup. That's right. Gamescom's happening, but there was an event down in LA where a bunch of colleagues got to go touch Avowed, play Avowed. Our own Parris Lilly went and played Avowed, and we'll talk to him in a second. But before we do that, Super Chat, what's your biggest question about Avowed? Let us know so we can ping pong it off Parris when he gets here. And then Jerica, before we even jump in, for you, Avowed, you interested? That moved the needle for you?
Sort of. You know, I'm always into any kind of fantasy-esque role-playing game. Really excited for Dragon Age later this year.
Hell yeah.
But I'm intrigued by it, and immediately from the gameplay I've seen, it does remind me of Skyrim. So I'm eager to know like how it actually feels while playing it. I am also interested, you know, a lot of melee combat, but I am interested to see how like the spell casting works in like a first-person perspective.
Okay. Well, let's dive into these previews.
Cool.
See what Parris has to say after that. Tom Phillips at Eurogamer says, Avowed plays like a funny Obsidian role player where you buddy up with the voice of Mass Effect's Garrus. We join the article in progress. I'm still a bit fuzzy about the lore of Avowed. I've not played Obsidian's Pillars of Eternity games, whose world this new RPG shares. But after an hour hands-on at Gamescom 2024, I'm clear about some of the details. And happily, I'm a little more convinced that this is a world I'll explore further when Avowed's new February 2025 release date rolls around. In Avowed, the game's world of Eoria, Parris, Eoria, is experiencing...
I don't know either.
God damn it, Parris! Why do we even bring you back here? Is experiencing some kind of magical plague, and you play as an important envoy from a nearby empire investigating the cause. The Gamescom demo allows you to play as a beefy barbarian, stealthy scout, or magic-infused mage with locked ability loadouts. I picked the latter, in a dungeon exploration mission where you were tasked with tracking down a lost expedition. Accompanying you on this quest is Kai, a companion character voiced by the unmistakable Brandon Keener, who many players will recognize as the legendary sidekick slash romance option Garrus from the Mass Effect trilogy. Visually, Avowed looks impressive, but its graphical style can sometimes feel an odd mix. The dungeon I explored is refreshingly bright and colorful as video game caves go, but it, and everything else I've seen in Avowed so far, seems a bit of fantasy hodgepodge. Skyrim meets Lord of the Rings via a punchier color palette, with blobs of James Cameron's Avatar thrown in. I'm reminded of Kingdoms of Amalur, and holy shit, are you saying the right things right there if you're going to bring up Kingdoms of Amalur for me, Greg Miller? A game made by a starry development team that never, for me, managed to really define an identity of its own. The identity, Tom Phillips, was fucking awesome, but I digress. I'm stopping. I'll move on to Destin Legary at IGN.com. We finally played Obsidian's first-person RPG, and it's fantastic. Destin writes, I'm happy to report that Avowed is feeling great, looking great, and offering a compelling story based on the early slice I played at an event. Make no mistake, though, combat was also challenging. I was chugging potions with recklessness, as I knew this was just a demo, but it was clear that you'll need to master the balance between the spellcasting, defense, and gear options for maximum efficiency. Digging into the menus, I found that you could spec out your character with a second weapon set that would be accessed with the press of the Y button on the controller. The potential that something so simple offers had me excited because with one press you could access a significantly different playstyle. Combat felt clean, intuitive, and had a depth I didn't expect. I can't wait to dive in for more. Unfortunately, the oomph of your attack animations that many felt were missing from the demo on Xbox's stage earlier this year have seemingly been implemented. Enemies now react how you'd expect them to react when you slash them with a sword or blast them with a spell. Now, Jericho, we're very lucky. We don't have to listen to Destin or Tom over here, all right, as he talks about throwing shade at Kings of Amalur. We got the one, the only, the best voice in the business, Parris Lilly. Good morning, Parris.
Good morning, sir. How you doing?
I'm excellent. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I got to play Avowed.
How much Avowed did you play, and what did you think? Kevin, roll some trailers.
It was about an hour, maybe a little over my session playing. I basically did the demo twice in that time. And kind of what Tom and Destin was saying is pretty spot on. I think Tom's being a little more critical than I would be as far as my gameplay goes. I mean, the color palette, the visuals, all of that, the art style, I thought was great. We were essentially in a dungeon area of this part of the game. That's where they set this demo at. And I played as the barbarian and I played as a ranger. I played as the ranger first. I did not play as the mage. And
okay.
I'm kicking myself for that because everyone that played as the mage loved it, because you could have a scenario where you're essentially dual wielding a wand and you could get the grimoire, if I'm saying that correctly.
You are.
And start casting spells at the same time. And everyone I talked to that played as a mage really loved that. But like I said, I mained a ranger first, and that's where what Destin was talking about came in. It was more challenging than I thought it would be, which is a good thing. Whereas you're really going to have to strategize how you're going into these scenarios, because I'm like, oh, I got my bow and arrow, I'm just going to pick them off from range. Nope. If you piss someone off, they're going to bum rush you. And to the other point, you can have two different weapon sets. So I had the bow and arrow, which I then had dual pistols as my secondary, and I was able to kind of use that for kind of close range combat. When you play as the barbarian, I mean, obviously that's going to be more melee focused, because obviously you're using swords and axes and things like that. But the cool thing about Avowed is this was for the demo. It's really a classless system. So at any point you can switch this up and do whatever you want, because one of my playthroughs, the first playthrough, which brings me to the dialogue, is your choices mattered even in that limited demo, because the one main guy who was having you go on a quest to go retrieve a relic for him, I decided once I got the relic, I wasn't going to give it to him and do what he wanted. And then we got into a fight and I wound up killing him, and I took his weapon. So then I essentially switched over to melee at that point, which I thought was cool.
Yeah.
But kind of diving into the menus and looking at the various attributes that you're going to be able to spec out, you will be able to respec if you need to. There will be a cost to that. I think we talked about that with Carrie when we interviewed her earlier this year. But it played well. I really enjoyed it. It is truly one of those cliches where you get it when you play it.
Yeah.
And when I played it, I was like, okay, I see what they're doing here. The combat felt good. I do want to see some diversity to the biomes. Obviously, we were just in the dungeon setting, so I want to see when we're out in the more, I know it's not truly open world, but we're in a setting to where we can kind of do whatever we want. I want to see how some of the side missions work. Everybody was just calling him Garrus, but we just had the one companion when we were playing, but you can have two companions at a time. So I want to see how that works in the gameplay when you have multiple enemies. Because there was one section where there was essentially this mini boss I ran into. He was kind of freaking hard. And yeah, I was chugging a bunch of health potions during that to get through it. But that also let me know that, yep, there's going to be a strategy to this. How am I going to balance, like as a ranger, how am I going to balance dual wielding some pistols versus the range of the arrow? Because even with the bow and arrow, you really got to pull the string back and kind of power it up to get some kind of real damage using it. So you can't just boom, 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 boom. So, all right, what's the balance between that? So there was a lot going on there. And that's why I am kicking myself that I didn't play as the mage to see how that worked from a magic standpoint. But
for you,
like
between the stealthy scout and the beefy barbarian, which did you prefer? Did you think they were both pretty great?
I like the ranger more. Okay. The barbarian, I mean, it was okay, but that's not how I would want to play.
Sure, yeah, I'm usually a range guy myself.
Yeah. So, I mean, but again, it's classless, so you get to decide how you want to spec things out and how you want to build it out. And obviously, as you get weapons, because like even with the bow and arrow, that is considered, that'll take up 2 slots as far as in a weapon set, right?
Interesting.
But then there's other ones where you can get 2 swords, or you could have like a bigger sword that takes up 2 slots. Or again, the pistols, you can have that in individual slots as well. So again, there's going to be a lot of variety to that when it comes to it. But it played well. It is, because I got a chance to sit down with a couple devs from Obsidian, so we got to talk to them, and I even told them, I go, this is an Obsidian ass game. That's what it is. If you like Obsidian games, that's what this is.
So did you see? I know I'm sorry to cut you off. You're talking about Obsidian, but it then jumps to me. You're in the dungeon. Did you get the dialogue choice, that character building stuff like that? When I think of an Obsidian game, that's what I'm especially their RPGs. That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, so as an example, right? And again, this is where the specs come in. Like you can do intelligence and all these other attributes, but you'll get different dialogue choices depending on what you spec into, right? So like there was one for intelligence that gave me one dialogue choice, and you see others, but there's this one character you meet early on in the demo that he's essentially dying, and you could help him with health potions and heal him up, and he'd be okay. I was an a-hole. I'll just fully admit it. I was like, I'm purposely going to be an a-hole through this whole demo session. So I did not help him at all. Nice. I got the information I needed and I let him die. Right. So there's choices of that. But like even talking to Obsidian, those choices can take you off into different branches in the story. So like I even talking about this one character with the relic, the fact that I fought him and he died, I missed a whole other section of the demo because of it. So my first playthrough was pretty short, but then I went back and I actually helped him, but then didn't help him because ultimately what he thought he was going to get didn't work. But that showed me a whole nother path that I didn't see the first time. Then I found out you can help them another certain way and you see a whole nother thing. And that was just in this 1 hour demo.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean?
That's what I
want. So imagine, what it's going to be, in the full game. So I was impressed with what I played. I really enjoyed it.
Jerica, do you have any questions? I don't want to dominate the conversation.
No. Well, I was just curious, like, as far as like branching dialogue options, and I know you were pretty limited on what you got to encounter. Do you see this be a pretty standard part of the game where those choices will have impacts like later on? Or doesn't that snippet, like, it's sort of hard to tell, I know.
That's what Obsidian said when I talked to him, that, yeah, you're going to see these branching storylines depending on your choices. So there's going to be whole sections of the game that you're simply not going to see depending on your choices. So that's exciting because that obviously adds some replayability to going into Avowed. So, yeah, according to them, it will as you get into later stages of the game. And to set it so people understand, when we played, it was still a early on character. We were like level 6 in this dungeon that we're in. So there was definitely a lot more in-game left beyond what we played.
I think one of the question I would have for this stage, you coming right off of the demo, Parris, is, so many people have seen it and been like, oh, well, I get Outer Worlds, or I get, I know Obsidian, it looks like Skyrim from Bethesda. Okay, now you're seeing the Kingdoms of Amalur thing, which of course makes me incredibly excited. Is the game that you played yesterday unique? Does it feel unique? Is there something about it where like, oh, this is its own thing, or does it feel like a hodgepodge to you of like, I'm enjoying it, but I see where it's just a bunch of things mixed together? Okay,
so this is where Parris is an idiot comes in, and during our interview, I said, I go, yeah, the story, this takes place in the Path of Exile universe. Ooh. Because I just had Yeah. But this, and they even said it, this takes place in the Pillars of Eternity. I'm screwing it up again. Eternity universe. But as far as the gameplay of it, I mean, you definitely felt some Outer Worlds in there. You felt some Skyrim-ish, Fallout-ish kind of gameplay from a first-person perspective. So that's the vibe I got from it.
But did it feel unique, or did it feel like you were playing Skyrim? Or
that's what I was going to say. The unique factor of it is the weapon diversity that you can have. The fact that you can have 2 set weapon builds ready to swap at any time, and then they can be different things depending on how you want to play it. So I think that's going to be the unique differentiator compared to like a Skyrim or playing Fallout or even the Outer Worlds.
Hell yeah. I can't wait. This is one, I'm so jonesing for this kind of RPG. I was stoked when it was coming this year, and we were also getting Shattered Space, and we were also getting a New World. Like I want that game. I want this world. It looks really rad. I'm glad it actually lived up to it.
Yeah, it definitely does. Now, here's the funny thing.
Please.
Playing it, I want it now. I want to play it now, but now I kind of understand why they delayed this to February. And it's so funny because you're talking about it at the top of the show, Dragon Age.
Yeah.
I think Dragon Age has the known IP, the name. That's going to be something a lot of people are going to jump in and want to play from a fantasy RPG standpoint.
Can't wait.
This might have gotten lost in the shuffle if it came out, say, in November, right? So put it in February. It's got some space between Dragon Age, and it can kind of stand on its own.
Yeah, and definitely, obviously, that first part, we always talk about that first part of the year, right? As soon as we get to a brand new year, it's all about that year. What's the new stuff? Where's the hotness? Everything else is your backlog. It's old, blah, blah, blah. I am very excited to get a lot of time with Dragon Age and then be able to play this.
And I'll say this too, just because I'd even, we were talking to again, Obsidian, and they were like, I was like, oh man, I can't wait to February. And they're like, look, that just gives us more time to polish. So they are not complaining that it's getting delayed to February. So, hey, like I said, it played well. Seemed like it was in a really good state right now, the section that we played. So I think it's shaping up to be pretty good.
Here's the one thing I want to throw at you from the chat, and then I'll let you go back to work. All right, Parris. Super Beard in the chat went through and said, I feel another Redfall coming on.
No.
Okay. Thank you.
No, I'm going to say that with my full chest. No. No, excellent. I did not get a Redfall vibe from this. I didn't and it's funny. I'll just say this before I go. I previewed Redfall, and even at that time, I always felt like, hey, I need to see more of this. It just, okay, this is the opening, but I need to see more to be convinced. And obviously that game is what it is. This one, I felt convinced by the end. Like, okay, this is going to be a good RPG. I want to play this.
Parris, you did the Avowed interview with me on the GAMESCAST not too long ago in the grand scheme of things. I thought we had this answered there. It's already gone through in the chat, so it's gone. You can also play this in third person, correct? Did you do that yesterday?
Did not.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm correct about it, though. You can't play in third person, right?
But you can.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, they said you can play in third person.
Fantastic. Well, I can't wait. Parris, thank you so much.
No, thank you. And I'll talk and see you soon.
All right. Sounds great. Jarek, I like that guy, but don't tell him. All right.
Okay.
So now, you were talking about being excited for Dragon Age, correct?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Do you feel like that? Will you have enough room in your heart come February to also play this?
I hope so, because I based on I've watched some trailers of gameplay, and then I guess what Parris got to experience yesterday, just reading through. It does sound like it does have enough to be fun, like a new way to play this type of game. It just really depends on how am I done playing Dragon Age at the time for me personally? And then also coming off of that, will I be ready to take on this new adventure in this game? That seems to be a possible option to have to replay it multiple times, both games.
Especially after Outer Worlds, right? I feel like that and what they've talked about with how big Avowed is, where I appreciate that Obsidian makes these quote unquote smaller RPGs that have the branches where you could make it entirely different, or you could get through it in 20 hours and be done and move on. Jerica.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know, but we have a thing called the Kind of Funny membership, and it's pretty great. If you give us $10, you support an 11-person small business. And of course, you also get all of our shows ad-free, the ability to watch our podcast live as we record them in private, like today's The Core in Review. And of course, you get your daily multimedia experience known as Greg Way. But a lot of people right now aren't using those Kind of Funny membership benefits. So here's a word from our sponsors.
This episode is brought to you by Hims. Guys, sometimes intimate moments happen spontaneously, and we always want to be ready so we can perform in the bedroom. Hims has treatments that can help you stay hard and last longer, giving you that boost of confidence so you can be ready whenever the mood strikes. Hims provides access to a range of doctor-trusted ED treatments such as chewable hard mints, proven treatments like Viagra and Cialis, or their generics for up to 95% cheaper. No insurance is needed. The process is simple and 100% online. No uncomfortable in-person visits necessary. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/kindafunny. That's HIMS.com/kindafunny for your personalized ED treatment options. Hims.com/kindafunny. The products mentioned are chewable compounded products which are not approved by or verified for safety or effectiveness by the FDA. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions, details, and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan. This episode is brought to you by Aura Frames. Here's the thing about birthdays, they happen all year, which means there's probably someone you should be buying a gift for right now. Give them something really special with Aura digital frames. Aura frames are easy to set up, update, and enjoy. Plus, Aura frames can be preloaded with photos and gift messages, so whether you're giving the frame to your sister, grandma, or your mother-in-law, you can make sure that the gift is personalized just for them. Recently, I gave my partner Leanza an Aura digital frame as a gift for our 6th anniversary, and we both adore it. We love being reminded of some of our most special moments, and it always starts some of the best journeys down memory lane. Right now, Aura is having their very first Friends and Family sale, and we've got an exclusive offer just for our listeners. For a limited time, you can get $35 off their best-selling frame by visiting auraframes.com and using promo code KINDAFUNNY. That's AURA frames.com, promo code KINDAFUNNY. This is the best offer of the season, so don't miss out. Terms and conditions apply.
And we're back. Before we even start in with story number 2, we're going to go to the Super Chats, because guess what, Jerica? They're all about you. Cognitive Clips Super Chats and says, great to see the GOAT back on Kinda Funny Games Daily, and Greg is here too. That's how much they like you, all right? The Portland Kevin says, I don't know if I've ever seen this before. The Portland Kevin Super Chat say, Jerica, do you want to be a guest on the PlayStation Plus Game Club at some point during your jump-in year? Find me, the Portland Kevin, on Discord. So now you're getting booked on other podcasts while you're doing our podcast.
Listen, I'm going to try to say yes to as much stuff I can. So.
Portland Kevin, hit her up. And Spotlight Games says, love seeing you take the leap, Jerica. Save us, daddy.
Yeah. That was in reference to our show last night. We have a fantasy league. We were handing out badges for the games we had, and that was one of those. Save me, daddy. Okay. That was the badge.
I think we should put that aside and people just call you daddy. You know, Rhea Ripley's mommy, that's your me. Daddy. Okay.
Hello.
But you also have the thing where you like being called mommy, so it's.
Well, no, I call Nick daddy. He calls me baby.
Oh, that's
and you're milk mommy.
Yeah. All
right. It's not as the family tree here isn't as complicated as you want to make it, Kevin. All right.
I just don't like it, and I don't like you pushing it on other people.
It's from their show.
Yeah,
I just made their show.
I welcome it. It's fine. Yeah, absolutely.
Moving on to story number 2. Concord was in development for roughly 8 years. A Firewalk developer confirms. This is Victoria Kennedy at Eurogamer. Super Chat, I need to know. Concord's out in early access. You could be playing it right now. Obviously, it's out in full tomorrow. Are you buying it? Have you been playing it? What do you think? Give me your Concord thoughts in Super Chats on YouTube. But for now, I jump to Victoria's reporting. A member of Firewalk's development team has revealed Concord, PlayStation's new 5v5 sci-fi shooter, was in development for around 8 years. A post on social media platform X by Concord lead character designer John Wininski celebrating the game's launch confirmed this little tidbit, with the developer stating he had been working on it personally for about 5 of those years. Quote, "We don't get a lot of launch days in our careers, so today is special for a ton of reasons," he wrote. "Oblige me some good vibes today." The developer went on to state the entire team was strapped in and ready to push it for years to come. There's a lot to unpack here, because Concord has been the whipping boy for so long, Jerica. I'm interested in your take. Jerica, when I think of you, I think of Destiny. I see the ghost over your shoulder. I know that has been your obsession. I have not talked to you yet about Concord. Has Concord spoken to you at all in a way you are paying attention or excited for it or have been playing?
Not yet. And actually, Audrey, my girlfriend, was able to play it during when it was the weekends where you could try it out.
Yeah.
Beta, yeah. And I watched. She played so much. I was really surprised how much she got into it. And I was watching her play. I guess trying to figure out which character she playing the most.
Yeah.
And I was watching. I was like, okay, this is cool. Hand me the controller. I'll try it. And I just kept dying over and over. I'm not the best Destiny player either. I'll go ahead and say it. I can get around. But when it comes to PvP, I enjoy it, but I also rage quit a lot. But
sure.
As soon as I hopped in, I just immediately was dying, and it's just really because I hadn't learned what character to play as. But they all look so cool.
Yeah.
So I was just trying each one of them every time, which I guess was the goal for this playtest, just to see what each character brought to the team. But yeah, I was just dying a lot. I'm interested. I don't know if I'll buy it immediately. I'll probably wait to see if any of my other friends are playing it, because that would be what brings me into it.
So that was a question I had for you based on the story you just told, right? You're talking about Audrey. Did she buy it? Did she pre-order it?
She hasn't done it yet.
She played all that and didn't.
Yeah, no.
What? Get her in the room. Why isn't she playing it?
I mean, she's upstairs. I'd have to yell. I don't want to yell into the mic
Fine,
and
fair
scare
enough.
everybody.
Fair enough. That's good enough, I guess.
If she hears this, she might come down and say.
She's got to be watching your big moment here at Kind of Funny Games Daily. Come on.
I hope so. She's upstairs working right now. So.
Audrey, stop working and come down and tell us why you didn't buy Concord. If you want to, you can text me her phone number and I can call her if you want.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we can do that. We'll get her on the show somehow. So one way or another, we'll figure this out.
Oh, I hear a door.
Oh shit, here she comes, everybody.
Did you buy Concord yet? Are you buying that? She hasn't bought it yet. Why? You loved it. Huh?
This is, since we can't hear her, it sounds like you're communicating with a ghost.
Yeah, she sort of sounds like.
Is Audrey in the room right now?
Is she here? She's on the stairs. Yeah, not yet. She said not yet. Oh, but she's going to though. She's going to.
Yeah,
okay, okay, here we go.
Okay, I guess it's out tomorrow. All right, I feel like if she would have bought Ultimate Edition or whatever, she'd be playing right now. This is going to be the interesting one again with launch tomorrow. What the Concord? I don't want to be like the numbers guy look like. I know that because so many people wanted to make a big hullabaloo about the Steam numbers and all that jazz for the betas.
Mm-hmm.
It's more the fact of like, I'm the PlayStation guy. This is a PlayStation game that does not appeal to me. I know our guys are playing it. Obviously, we're doing the review so far right after this. Mike, Andy, and Bless have put a lot of time into it. Blessing was streaming it last night, and it's rare to see Blessing stream games. Usually that's Mike and Andy's bag. So I'm interested in it, but one of the things I heard yesterday when they were streaming it was Blessing being like, or maybe it was last night when he was streaming it, but him being like, man, I wish this game came out in 2021. Or, he was like, when did Outriders come out? This should have come out when Outriders came out. So it's a very fascinating thing of, we go back to the actual news here. This has been in development for roughly 8 years, which again is always hard because how much of it was pre-production, how much of it was actually hands-on production, et cetera, et cetera. PlayStation on their live service push has seemed so far behind the trends. And so you have this game here and it's like, is the world ready for / wanting another hero shooter 5v5? Let's start a new franchise, a new world. People are so excited for Marvel Rivals. People had been excited for Overwatch 2 and then that fell apart and didn't do the things people wanted it to do. What is the actual audience going to look like for Concord, I wonder? And if this 8 years will pay off, Jerica?
It stinks because I could tell, I don't know. In my gut, I just don't see this hitting as much as they obviously want it to succeed. But when I was playing it, I could tell so much love went into each of these characters. They all look amazing. It just sucks I'm just speaking from my, personal opinion. I'm just not in the mood to play this kind of game right now. And I don't know if I will be with what's coming out. It's going to depend on, hey, the group of friends that I play with, are they all playing it? Because I feel like you won't be able to hop into this game solo and have a great time. I feel like that's just my perception. It seems like you do need a good team of folks playing.
We have a question, or I shouldn't say a question. We had a comment from the chat over here from Marquis, who wrote in and said, Outriders came and went just like Concord will. And I would push back on that because we're talking about two very different things. If you remember when Outriders launched, they were very clear. This isn't a games as a service. This is a game we're putting out. And then it was so popular in that time period where it came out, they did the DLC for it and made more content for it. Outriders launched as, we are a full price game or whatever. I think it was like a discounted price, but we are a priced game. It costs money. And it came out. Everybody played it for a while and enjoyed it and then was done with it. And I remember when I made a comment on one of the shows where I was like, oh yeah, Outriders came and went. And somebody in the comments was like, Greg, is it a failure? I mean, it did what it wanted to do. People bought the game, people enjoyed the game, they played the game, and then it was done. Not every game needs to go on. And I was like, that's a great point. And we're talking about different things. You look right here as we talk about the letter, or the tweet, I should say, the letter. He's doing paper. He's writing into the newspaper like Benjamin Franklin. John Wisniewski from the Concord development team saying, right, we're strapped in and ready to push it for years to come. That is a far different plan than what Outriders did. And again, this is where you double down of it took 8 years to get here. Now they want to do it forever. What the numbers, this from people like Audrey who played the beta, enjoyed themselves, but haven't paid for it yet. What does that look like? How long does this game actually be supported? What do the numbers need to look like for PlayStation to consider the success and then say, we're going to continue to support it?
Or even, I'm curious if this, because I was really surprised that this was a $40 game, right?
Yeah.
Am I mistaken? Yeah. And I at first glance, I thought, "Ooh, it's going to be one of those options where maybe we can have free to play options." As a live service games like this, like I'm a little nervous to spend $40 on it.
And I think
if it was free, I would definitely dive in and have a good time. Obviously, but I'm a little cautious.
And that I think is again like a interesting bet by PlayStation, and also I wonder if they were aware of how many people in the industry, and I don't mean the industry in terms of people making it, but the people who consume games, who would look at the game and go, "Oh, we've been trained that should be free to play. We've been trained at this point that is not like Marvel Rivals coming out. All the heroes are free and available at launch, right?" And it's like there's an argument to be made, obviously, about exploring the scale and how do you do this. Business is business, and I understand that. This is an interesting gamble for a brand new IP from PlayStation. Can you make people care enough about it? And again, we keep going back to the canary in the coal mine, or in your case, the canary upstairs, Audrey, who has not purchased it, right? Well, I have all the intentions to do, but what if tomorrow it drops and it is not many people are playing it, or not your friends aren't playing it? Like, is there the motivation to be the one to go, "No, but I really enjoyed it. We should all get in there." I want to jump in to the super chats, where Street Shadow super chat and said, "Concord may not be perfect, but we complain we have too much of the same. Free-to-play live service, battle passes, etc. But if a dev tries something new where you pay and have it all, we ask for it to be free-to-play." Again, Greg Miller hasn't been complaining about battle passes and free-to-play. Greg Miller loves that shit, right? That's why I'm back on Fortnite. It's why I want to get back to Diablo and do my battle pass and all those different things. There's a lot to that. You're not wrong. There are those complaints, but again, this goes back to my old adage of talking about Batman Arkham Knight, where so many people got upset when the Batman season pass got announced and there was very few details but a price tag on it. And it was that idea, well, were you ever going to, person complaining on your podcast, were you ever actually interested in that? Because me, Greg Miller, they promised new Batmobiles and a Batgirl story, and I was like, here's the money, take the money, I don't care, that's all I want. I think so many people make a big hullabaloo about free-to-play being bad, battle passes being bad, but were they ever going to engage with the games anyway? And so Sony's making that bet right here. CJ Splits On follows up with a super chat and says, "Really sucks that the industry are voting free-to-play." Again, you exist in a time and a place right now where there are so many games vying for your attention, and so many free-to-play games that are a lot of fun, where I know, again, free-to-play, microtransactions, battle passes, there's a lot of ones that are money grubby, but there's a lot of ones that aren't, where really, really aren't, where you can jump in and have a great time with the game and be ready to go. Jerica, is it all lost? Or has capitalism ruined everything?
I don't think so. I think the games industry as a whole just is going to evolve every year. I don't know if we could ever predict what is going to work or what kind of games we'll get in the future, but I don't know, for Concord, like, I just really think, like, to get people to play, it needed to be free to play, like, for everyone to be on board. I think the $40 just might be a little too much to have as many folks diving in day one as they could have had. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not a money person. I don't handle finances.
You don't run PlayStation. You don't run a Fortune 500 company.
That, but I just think, and you want it in as many hands as possible, and I think that would have been the right move.
We will wait and see, of course. Like I said, you are getting the review so far of Concord from Mike, Andy, and Bless, with me hosting, of course, right after this on GamesCast. And then you could catch yesterday's Concord stream they did, or today's Concord stream that will follow their review. And then, of course, out for the world tomorrow. So we'll see what numbers look like and how many people are in there. And then I'm sure next week will be a constant update on what's going on with Concord.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated because, again, like, you can look at Helldivers and say, oh, that was PlayStation really trying live service and da-da. And it was, and I think wasn't at the same time, where it's like, I don't think that was part of the big, hey, Jim Ryan wants to do 12 live service games, blah, blah, blah. I think this is one of those in the same way I think Haven's Fair Games will be as well. So what does this look like? And could it be this story infused once a week cutscene? Is that going to drive people and make them care? And if it doesn't, how do they respond? When does it go to PlayStation Plus? Does it ever go to PlayStation Plus? To your point of, like, you're surprised it's not free to play to get people in the door. I'm shocked it's not a free to play weekend to start, that it's not something that if I have PlayStation Plus, I'm getting some bonus this weekend that I should, even if I didn't, I have to buy the game, but being a PlayStation Plus whatever member gets me all this other stuff. I don't know, but something would be interesting over there, but we'll know. Now what's good, says Greg, call Herman. Do you have his number? I don't have Herman's number right now, so we're not going to call Herman Hulse. But instead, we'll move on to number 3 on the Roper Report. Callisto Protocol developer announces Redacted, a roguelike set in the game's Black Iron prison. This is Ryan Dinsdale at IGN.com. The Callisto Protocol developer Striking Distance Studios has announced Redacted, a roguelike dungeon crawler set within the Callisto Protocol's Black Iron prison, and yes, that's its actual name. Previously announced as Project Birdseye, Redacted was fully revealed during the Xbox stream at Gamescom 2024 alongside an October 31st release date. It promises unlimited replayability, strategic build metas, progression through death, powerful upgrades, and speed running challenges. Quote, Redacted takes you deep into Black Iron Prison, a high-tech correctional facility on Jupiter's icy moon Callisto, reads the official synopsis. Inmates are infected and mutating, security systems are indiscriminate, and other survivors are trying to escape by any means necessary. And, though you're just a modest security guard with one job, make it to the last escape pod alive, you'll have an arsenal of weapons, suits, skills, experiments, and more to help you get out of Blackgate Prison alive. Here's what I think. This looks great.
Mm-hmm.
I think the visual style of this is awesome. The comic bookiness of what they're doing is awesome. And then I think there's the meta story of we've talked so much about all of these formerly AAA developers going off, starting their own thing, being like, we're a quadruple A studio, and we're going to make the next big thing, the next big franchise, and it doesn't work out. Like Callisto Protocol didn't pan out the way they wanted it to. Like Ascended Studios didn't pan out with the game that I'm blanking on the name of, but you know what I'm talking about because we talk about it all the time. I think it's so cool to see Striking Distance pivot and say, all right, cool, let's make something smaller and faster and try to go, especially with the lore they already established, Jerica.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a smart move. This was exciting because I didn't know about this until I read this in the document this morning, and I was like, "Oh shit, this looks awesome!" Because immediately I thought about Hades.
Yeah.
I've never completed Hades. Obviously, I'm just trying to be good, but it's so challenging sometimes. But I do like to have some sessions like on the couch with. I have the. I always forget if is it Asus or Asus? I feel like I'm trying to be fancy when I say Asus.
But I'm sure I'm wrong. Since I say Asus, it's probably Asus.
I'm gonna be fancy. Asus Ally, and definitely gonna be a game that I'll pick up and play there. Like this looks perfect for handheld.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I look at this. If you're an audio listener, you should definitely check it out again. Very comic booky in terms of all the styling, in terms of the filter on it, but then the gameplay itself. Way faster, but Hades is a good call out. I would call out Helldivers, the first one, not number 2. But also, more importantly for me, a very comic booky Dead Nation, which is what a game I really, really enjoyed and stuff. Getting in here, fighting these zombies, shooting around, having weapons. Callisto Protocol got knocked so much for really focusing on melee combat and not doing a great job for some people. This one having guns, having the ability to go through there. Launching on October 31st, I think in a vacuum is a great idea because holy shit, Halloween, yeah, I could go for a creepy, scary game. And then in reality, that's also Dragon Age's release date, so I won't be touching this for quite some time. But maybe that night when I'm done doing whatever I do in Dragon Age, I'll do 30 minutes of this to see what it's like. But that looks awesome.
For sure. Yeah, it looks really good.
I would hope to see more. We talk again to and by the way, it was Immortals of Avium. Thank you so much with Ascendant Studios. I would love to see more AAA devs who spin off to start their own studios do this first. Start with the small game, learn how to make a game as that new team, then move on to the big thing. But again, I love the idea that all right, cool. Callisto Protocol didn't do what we wanted us to do. We have all of this lore though. We have this team. Let's build something to do quickly and I'm looking way into stuff I don't fucking know, but I would say the publisher perish thing, right? Of like, you can't sit there and spend another 5 years making Callisto Protocol 2 to improve on that. Let's get something out now. Let's keep, try to be in the black on the book so that when Crafton looks at Striking Distance, they're not like, oh, we should get rid of this. We should do that. Demon Hacker said, do they really have to save the Callisto Protocol lore? It's a funny little joke, Demon Hacker, you say in chat, but I'm going to throw out there, save. I would say, yeah, right? I mean, I don't think it's saving in a way that it's like the Bible you're saving in the middle of the library fire or something, but it's the idea of the work is done. So many people move from one project to the next project to the next project, and like in a world, in an industry that we live in right now, where people are being laid off and companies are cutting costs so quickly, the fact that they were able to say, let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. Let's not start from scratch and do a 2-year production spin-up of concept art and this, that, the other to then get to this game. They were able to go, you assume, to craft and be like, hey, we can use this to get something out quicker and hopefully make money and keep the team active. Well, I'm sure they are gestating on a Callisto Protocol 2 or a bigger game. Like, yeah, it didn't need to be saved. And if that's how I said it, I apologize. I don't mean saved like, but I mean like you put all this time and work into it. Why go do that again? That's my point, Jerica.
I think it's a good. I mean, it's sort of cool. They have the opportunity to make a totally different type of game, but also just to have this. Yeah, the world's made. It's just one less step they have to tackle to try something new.
100%, yeah. And I'm glad to see them getting to make more games because that's what we want all the developers in our lives to do. Number 4 on the Roper Report, Monster Hunter Wilds finally removes gendered armor, meaning anyone can wear anything. This is Ryan Dinsdale at IGN.com. Capcom is finally removing gendered armor from the Monster Hunter series in 2025's Monster Hunter Wilds, meaning any character can wear any equipment. The game director revealed this during a presentation of Monster Hunter Wilds, that the much requested feature would finally be implemented after more than 20 games in 20 years. Quote, in previous Monster Hunter games, you had male and female armor, but I'm happy to confirm that in Monster Hunter Wilds, there's no more male and female armor. All characters can wear any gear, end quote. Monster Hunter fans have already expressed excitement over the change, as a post titled, quote, "We defeated gender" currently sits at 10,000 upvotes on the series Reddit page. Quote, finally get to play a female Lancer with the most absolute big chunk of armor known to man, said one user in the comments. Monster Hunter defeated gender, Jerica.
Excellent. Glad someone's out there trying to do those things. I think this is cool. Like there's lots of games I've played before. Like, you know, I get a little bummed out like when I see maybe a male character with armor that looks really dope, and then the lady's got, you know, skimpy little skirt or something. That's a very vague example, but you know what I mean. Like 100%. I wish my character, if I were to purchase that article of armor or clothing, that my character could put it on. So I think this is great. This is the way it should be. I think if you are creating a character and equipping anything that's adding to your build, like it should be any kind of piece. Like I should have my character look the way I want him to.
100%. Super cool. And it speaks to, you know, not on purpose, obviously, just a fun dovetail of karma there, of my Greg way today, where I was talking, again, where should you enter Monster Hunter? I was like, World would be the way to go right now, but if you can hold out, go to Wilds, because World was such an amazing, for somebody who reviewed the series for so long, payoff of everything I had wanted out of it as a Western gamer, right? And then to think now in 2024 or 2025, what a even improved version of that is going to look like. You're going to see a lot of changes like this, let alone crossplay and everything else they have in there. So, did you play Monster Hunter Worlds? Are you excited for Wilds?
I don't know what to be excited for because I've never played. I know it's been on the list. You know, I just got to get someone to help me figure out how to play, because like I feel like I've tried it and I was like, I don't know where to go, and I feel like if I'm by myself, I can't figure out how to play this game. Sure, I feel like I need a friend here.
Monster Hunter's always been a good Sherpa game of somebody showing you how to do something cool.
Yeah, it all goes back to like, you know, I was knee deep, maybe even chest neck deep into Destiny, I'm sure. So like finding the time to get into another commitment was tough. But you know, I've also, you know, I'm stepping back from other things. I know it's a whole other topic. Stepping a little bit back from Destiny so I can play other things. So maybe I will, you know, use Wilds as a entry point to see what I can get into. You do that. Me and Kevin will help you. Kevin and I will show you the ropes. Excellent. Kevin, where are you at with Wilds? Are you stoked?
I haven't even thought about it. I mean, I want to. Does it look visually very different? Is it more
it looks like better. It looks more. I mean, it's World, but it looks better.
It's not like that other game that came out, right?
It's not like Stories or the Switch version or anything.
Yeah, no. I'm really excited. Like, I don't know that I'll have the time that we dedicated last time, because that was such a fun time. Yeah,
Kevin, I understand what you're thinking, but think about it this way: by the time Wilds comes out, Ben is 3 years old, which means he can just watch your son.
Perfect.
You bring your son over. They sit in the playpen. Ben watches him. You and I keep. Remember when we played Immigrant Song and went after that monster in Monster Hunter World? We can do that again.
Good time.
Great time.
Blink.
We had to blink. Our eyes hurt so much. God, I love Monster Hunter. I'm excited for more of that. But let me tell you, Jerica, genderless armor in Monster Hunter Wilds is big news. I'm sick of all this big news. If I wanted smaller news, say the tiniest news I needed to know about, where would I go?
You go to our last story, the Wii News channel, the Tiny News, where we cover all the small news, tiny news you need to know about.
Hell
that.
Yeah. Good job. You crushed it. You crushed it this time. Number
Yes.
5, the Wii News. From Nintendo Life, publisher Thunderful has revealed Lost in Random, The Internal Die, a roguelike action game that serves as a sequel to the well-regarded action-adventure title Lost in Random. It is currently slated to be released in 2025. I appreciate when the official press release calls their own game a well-regarded. Listen, was it Game of the Year? No, it was well-regarded. People enjoyed this. I never played Lost in Random. Did you?
Nope.
All right, good. Well, here he goes, everybody. You got dice you're throwing out there. Congratulations. From VGC, Nintendo has announced it will be ending service for the Animal Crossing smartphone game Pocket Camp and replacing it with a paid app, which will preserve player data. So good news, bad news there. Going away, but you'll have to pay, I guess, to keep playing. Eternal Strands will launch for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, and PC via Steam in early 2025, developer Yellow Brick Games announced. And then Jackbox Naughty Pack is coming to Xbox One, PlayStation 4, Switch, and PC on September 12th. That's it. That's the small news. Shout out to Jackbox. Still going. That's crazy. Jackbox Party Packs. How long have that's been around forever?
Well, Greg, they're really fun games.
They're great games.
What's this deal with small news? What?
Oh, I'm taking it up with
changing
blessing.
the phrasing. Is that what it says on the paper?
No, it says Wii News.
I might have messed it up.
No. Greg was just saying small news at the end there. He's like, that's it for small news. I don't like it.
I apologize, Kevin. I didn't mean to let you down. That's it for Wii News, everybody.
Thank you.
I appreciate the kindoffunny.com/you're wrong from Kevin because we had nothing else wrong for the entire show, which is great.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Nice.
We do have one last super chat. Flick right. I don't understand what is happening in this super chat. Flick writes in and goes, Jerica, do you know a Rob Webb?
I do. I do. Listen here. You know, I might be from the South, but, you know, it's a small area around where I live. I had to get country a little bit. I got a lot of folks that know me and might tune into the show. So, yeah, I do know,
you know
Rob
Flick?
Webb. I do know a Flick.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Sorry, that's my country accent.
It's good. It's
Small
good. Yeah,
town.
no, you're really good.
I try to dial it back sometimes.
No, I like it. I like the accent. You should keep it. It would set you apart. Do that and wear, like, you know, the bib jeans and the straw hat.
Listen,
Be
I
like
got
the
a straw
hee-haw
hat.
streamer.
It is hanging up on the wall over there, so I'm ready to go anytime. Put on my boots and let's get going.
I appreciate that, Jerica, oh so much. Ladies, gentlemen, and NBs, that's been another episode of Kinda Funny Games Daily. Of course, we are live all day long because we're all about live talk shows. We're going to wrap this one up and get ready for the Kinda Funny GAMESCAST to give you your Concord review so far with Mike, Andy, and Blessing. And after that, stream some more Concord for you. Of course, if you're a Kinda Funny member, the shows don't even end there. You will get in review The Core, I believe is what I said earlier. I don't even know what the hell that is. They're going to be...
Movie.
Oh, it is it?
The Core, you nailed it. I was saying it's a great movie.
That's not... Shia LaBeouf is Holes.
Yes, that is correct.
Who
Shia
is
LaBeouf
in Core?
I don't know, the actors, but it's good.
All right. You can in review it this afternoon. I think it's the Disaster Cast, right? Is that what they're doing?
Yeah, they're doing
okay.
that.
And of course, you can check us out tomorrow. Get the Aaron Eckhart's in this one.
There it is.
Huh.
I've also met him once or twice. He was filming a movie locally. Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Was he cool?
Yeah, he was I recognized him and I was like, that guy looks familiar. Oh yeah, he was in one of those Batman movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
Nick's told this story now several times, but he once met him as well and was like, hey, I really like The Core. And he looked at him and was like, no, you didn't.
For me, see, I think Nick might be stealing my story.
Oh.
Because we would have met him at the same thing, Comic-Con, when he was doing that Frankenstein thing. We were both working for IGN, and I interviewed him. And when I told him I really liked Meet Bill, and he looked at me and he went, "Nobody watched Meet Bill." And I was like, "I watched Meet Bill."
Oh, maybe that's the story of it. Nobody watched it, but like it's definitely he said it was The Core. Don't ruin the magic for me, Greg.
Well, you
Don't
know how
ruin the
Nick does
magic
it.
for
He
me.
does that thing where he infects stories. He takes them as he's like Brainiac. He
Does
steals
he do
memories.
that?
Yeah. You know, how many times is Nick? You know what? We'll talk about this off air. Jericho, I'm so excited that you're chasing your dream, where can people keep up with you?
Of course, at JK Games Podcast on most social platforms. And then if you want to follow me, at Jerkachu, like Pikachu, but jerk. I'm not a jerk. This is what my niece calls me, Jerka. And I thought that was cute, and I like Pikachu, so Jerkachu. You can follow me on things.
We'll crush it. You crush it as always.
Say
You're always
things
welcome
to
here,
me.
Jerica. I'm happy. I'm so excited to see what you do this next year, okay?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Anytime. Everybody, we got more shows to do. But until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you. There's no handshake.